I'm giving Sycuan Casino another go, hoping to run as well as my first appearance last weekend. That's enough small talk. Let's get right to the action. Two players limp ahead of me. Both you see like to take that line with a wide range. The small blind completes. I make the easy raise, sizing it up to 25. I want to punish the loose players that will call a larger raise. The looser of the two call. Heads up to a flop, which is what I'm looking for, an overpair. I make a large bet. It's a pretty wet board, and I think hands that will continue, like 10x and flush draws, will continue to this bet similarly to a smaller one. I then get surprised with it clicked right back to me. I don't want to only call and leave less than a pot-sized bet playing the turn out of position. I feel this player could easily be doing this overestimating a hand like ace-10 or king-10. I'm only really worried about 10-9 suited and pocket threes. I shove. Villain calls and does show 10-9 suited. Not in horrible shape as a 2-1 underdog, but no suck out this time, and I'm already in the hole, 300. This hand showcases one of the reasons why 3-betting with ace-king is usually the better play. A player from the cutoff raises with pocket 10s to 25. I decided on just a flat. The straddler started with a short stack and was playing pretty aggressive, so I wanted to give him the option of shoving, then getting the cutoff villain to commit with a hand that he normally wouldn't if I was the one that raised. That didn't happen though. We went heads up to an ace-high flop. He makes a bet, and I of course make the call, not scared of much on such a dry board. Turn pairs the 4, villain checks back. Right here is one of the reasons to 3-bet ace-king. When a player has the underpair, like 10s in this situation, you won't get paid when you hit. It's usually better to put pressure on these hands, to fold pre or post flop to aggression, or get them all in before any cards are seen, so you actually get the value when you make the top pair. River is another ace, filling me up. I could have either checked and get a possible bluff from a hand like king-queen or king-jack, or bet and get a non-believing call from a hand like villain has, thinking I have a bluff like 5-6, or I'm just betting because I saw a weakness from him on the turn. I like a bet here since I see villain's check on the turn is somewhat giving up. Too bad in real life I checked, making the minimum in that hand. I raise limp caller that stacked me earlier with ace-queen, get a caller from the short stack straddler on the button, then an old tight player awakens. I can't fold fast enough. My beliefs are confirmed. Pocket rockets hold up against pocket 5s. Here is a strangely played hand that led to weird spots. Pre-flop I think is standard. Raise the same 2 limpers with pocket 9s in the small blind and get both to call. Flop has 1 overcard in the jack, 2-tone, with many straight draws. Very iffy spot in no man's land. Not sure what line was best, but I checked. Then saw a tiny bet of 15 from 9-3 suited in position. Don't think I could fold for that price. I call, and Jack-9 offsuit also calls. Turn pairs the second card in the 8, and the action follows very similarly. A tiny bet of 20 for 1/5 pot. I don't think an 8 would bet the flop, or even this type of sizing now hitting trips. He seems to either have a jack or draw. River pairs the board again with the 6. A huge bet of about 35% of the pot this time, so relatively. The hand doesn't add up to me. A jack might slow down and doesn't seem like would bet bigger on the river. An 8 or 6 wouldn't bet the flop or play the hand like this, I think. Getting almost 4-1, this feels like call. Villain doesn't show an 8 or 6. He shows both. Flop 2 pair and turn to boat. Suckered us in on the flop with 2 pair. Knew he had the board locked on the turn and made it enticing for the draws to continue. Nice hand. I know when it's time to go. This is just not my night. and I end the session down $500 after 3 hours, cashing out for just my last 100. This next session was not the most eventful, to say the least. These first two hands played themselves. I actually literally mean it. I raise with premium holdings and get all in against short stacks pre-flop. Nothing is needed to go over. Lose both. Add on another 100. Time to move on to the one hand that I felt was even slightly worth going over in this 3-hour session. I raise a limper with pocket 10s in the cutoff. He has only 3-bet with pocket aces and seems like a typical limp passive player. One more caller on the button, and we're going 3 ways to a flop, which comes 3 spades and 1 overcard in the queen, and I also have a spade. I could have the best hand with the worst draw. I could have the worst hand with the best draw. I could have the best hand and draw, or I could be drawing dead. No man's land again here. Not sure how to proceed. I check, and the flop gets checked through. Turn pairs to 6, and I face a 1/2 pot size bet. I'm in position with too good of a hand to just weakly give up and fold, I think. River is a blank. I face a bigger bet this time of 3/5 pot of 60. For him to be bluffing, he would have to limp call preflop with a hand like ace-jack, ace-10 preflop, and double barrel miss flush draw. Seems to me more players like limping with suited aces and also don't bluff enough. I make the fold, thinking I'm beat too often to justify calling. Let me know what you think about both of these hands where I got caught in no man's land. I don't visit there very often.